So let's talk about the Central American economy, Patrick. What are your thoughts on that and how it differs from the US economy? Specifically, how does the financial services industry differ in, say, Central America versus the US?
Yeah, so really, it's a very different world. There's a lot less volatility in the market there, especially in the country I'm most experienced with, Belize. Typically, the most high yield investment that you can get through any sort of bank or fund or any institution like that is a CD lock. So there's not very much potential for passive income through anything other than real estate. So, and I would say that the economy itself is less susceptible to outside economic forces. People typically don't buy things on debt. Nobody has mortgages. Nobody gets anything on debt, and that in many ways prevents quite a lot of the sudden collapses and stuff that we see here. Because if there's no problem with mortgage-backed securities, if there's no mortgages. So it is very stable there. It's very consistent. And also overall the government is much smaller and is involved less and tends to be in better shape in terms of its decision-making abilities. They tend to not be in as much debt there. And I know that some countries, especially El Salvador, for example, have moved and accepted Bitcoin as legal tender, which is really good news because it helps a lot for a lot of these people that work in other countries, but are citizens of El Salvador and want to send their money back. It means that they can easily transfer their money as long as they convert it into Bitcoin from the US to El Salvador with no fees, which is excellent.
Absolutely. And what are the common currency crypto assets that you see in South America? Is it some of the ones you mentioned, like Bitcoin? Is it some of these others, like there's Ethereum? I'm hearing there's these so-called smart contracts. Just want to get your give us a sense of sort of the overall topology of the crypto asset market in Central America.
So in Belize, people don't typically use them yet. That's mostly a thing only in El Salvador and among certain unsavory elements that want hard to trace money. I can't really speak to smart contracts. It's not something I understand. I know Cardano uses them, but I don't exactly understand them. I don't have as much of an understanding on proof of stake cryptocurrencies, such as Ethereum, or any of the ones that tend to be sort of centrally managed or centralized. The ones that I understand mostly are proof of work, such as Bitcoin and Monero, things like that. And those ones tend to make a lot of sense over there. I think the main use case, and I expect to see more of this in future from people that are a little younger and a little bit less scared of cryptocurrencies and the internet, is that it's going to be a replacement for wire transfers from these countries to America and back, because a lot of these countries' citizens move to other countries where they can potentially make more money and send their money back, or vice versa. Some people, especially Belizeans that live in America, sometimes make money in Belize and send it over here. Because there's ways you can run certain businesses either by, buying lots of things and traveling to the country with them and selling them, or, running rental properties over there and send the money to the States. And either side of this transaction, if you use Bitcoin or some sort of cryptocurrency such as that, it would simplify a lot of the I would say the headache associated with moving your money back and forth between these two countries, with a lot of limits and stuff on the amounts and fees that are quite high.
Absolutely. I want to jump to the other parts of the international market, and specifically, I want to get your thoughts on Credit Suisse. The Saudi National Bank has announced publicly that they're not going to provide any more capital to Credit Suisse. This is a much bigger domino than Silicon Valley Bank and some of the others in terms of its total assets. So, what do you think of that from your perspective? Do you see a system-wide collapse coming, or do you think this is still an idiosyncratic situation?
Well, the Saudis are enormous. I mean, they are the premier supplier of petroleum to lots of the world. The entire petrodollar system hinges on the Saudi royal family. So if they're doing something, it's going to have cascading effects. I think there's Saudi royal family is rumored to have trillions of dollars of net worth between all of them, which is an insane amount. I mean, that's a Rothschild's level amount of net worth we're talking about here. So this is some very large financial dynasty, and they're sitting on a huge reserve of easily accessible oil, and it's something that's definitely going to affect a lot of stuff. Even if the magnitude of that effect I can't speak to, but it would be insane to believe that won't affect anything.
Absolutely. That's interesting that you mentioned the Rothschilds. Let me just tell you a piece of advice that Lord Rothschild gave to Julius Pierpont Morgan, the father of John Pierpont Morgan.
Mhm.
A piece of advice that Julius never took, but that John Pierpont Morgan did. And that is this: you got to be willing to buy when there's blood in the streets.
Mhm.
Well, where do you see opportunity in this market? There's clearly distressed assets, not only in the US, but now we're starting to see that globally. Where
Mhm.
should investors look for opportunity in, let's say, the next 2 to 5 year period?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's an excellent piece of advice. In fact, as much as morbid as it is, the best opportunities to become wealthy are when there's blood running through the streets. Unfortunately, that's just how it works, because to make a lot of money, you have to buy when it's down. And now, in my opinion, I would tell people not to sit and wait for that collapse. Just try to keep whatever streams of income that you have going on right now, and just be consistent with your investment. Just consistently say, I'm going to do this every month, and stick to it. That's your best case, and do that whether it's high or low, because time in the market is more important than timing the market. Timing the market, even if somebody were to be perfectly lucky and always buy at the lowest and sell at the highest, they still get outperformed by the person who just buys consistently within the market, because the time in the market is the most important metric here, not the matter of that luck of where you hit that chart. And that's the real thing. Now, if you're talking about trying to make money off misery, I mean, that's hard to predict, because usually by the time that there's a very obvious opportunity for that, everyone's seen it. Unless you're able to engineer that stuff yourself, which is extremely unethical, then I would just advise people. I would, if it were me, I would just try to be consistent more than I would try to time something like that. Yeah, there's going to be times where we're at, recessions, depressions, whatever. Doesn't matter. Just keep doing what you're supposed to do. Don't get caught up in the hype of saying, oh God, all the economy's going to collapse. I need to start storing gold bars, and I need to take all my money out of the market and all this stuff. As soon as you're doing that, you're losing. So you just got to be consistent no matter what the weather is.
Right. And I also want to get your thoughts on, the collateralized loan obligation market. Maybe we'll start with the US. So for the past several months, the basis between benchmark and non-benchmark issuers in the US CLO primary market has been historically wide, we've started to see the basis tighten a little bit in, let's say, the past 1 to 2 weeks, but yet we're seeing credit spreads widen because, for example, a week or two ago, there were triple B tranches priced at 200 basis points wider than initial dealer guidance.
Pete, I have a question quickly. Can you pause the recording? I gotta go to the bathroom really quickly, and I can come back.
Yeah,
Let
let
me
me
restart that question. I'm sorry about that.
I pause this.
Yeah, I'll be back in a sec. It'll be quick.